The boy keeps his helmet on because his hands are shaking too badly to remove it. Cold presses through his boots, creeping up his legs like water. The ground beneath him is hard and uneven, scarred by tank tracks and frozen footprints. The morning smells of damp soil and old smoke, the kind that lingers long after the fire has died. Somewhere nearby, wood creaks in the wind, a ruined building settling into itself. They stand in a line, 16 boys, no men. Wool uniforms hang loose on thin bodies, sleeves too long. Collars rubbed shiny from weeks without washing. One boy clutches a photograph in his pocket, his mother's. Face already creased from being folded too many times. Another bites the inside of his cheek until he tastes blood, welcoming the pain because it proves he is still here. They have been told how this ends. American soldiers do not take prisoners. American soldiers shoot. That is what the poster said. That is what the radio promised. The boys wait for shouted orders, for raised rifles, for the sound that will tear the world apart. A truck engine idles nearby. Metal ticks softly as it cools. No shots come. The silence stretches, heavy and unbearable, until it feels louder than gunfire. They are marched down the road with their hands raised. Not bound, which feels wrong, suspicious. Mercy, they have been taught, is always a trick. The road smells of thawing mud and crushed leaves. Each step makes a wet sound. Boots pulling free as if the earth itself does not want to let them go. A boy near the front stumbles. He waits for the blow that never comes. Instead, a voice, low, foreign, calm, tells him to keep moving. English, thick, rounded. Nothing like the barking sounds from the newsreels. The truck waits ahead, olive green, its sides scarred but intact. To the boys it looks enormous, final, like a coffin with wheels. They climb in one by one, helped up by hands that are bare, not gloved, not striking. The metal floor is cold through their thin trousers. As the engine starts, fear settles into their stomachs like lead. A boy named Carl remembers a lesson from winter training. The enemy smiles before he kills you. He repeats it silently like scripture. Around him, boys stare at the wooden slats, at the sky flashing between them as the truck moves. No one speaks. The road carries them away from the ruins, deeper into the unknown, toward whatever ending has been promised. The truck slows, then stops. The boys brace themselves as one body. Shoulders tighten. Breath catches. This is the moment. Carl presses his tongue to the roof of his mouth, trying to remember the taste of bread, of home, of anything that belongs to before. The tailgate drops with a dull clang. Light spills in, clean, almost gentle. Not the harsh gray they expect, but something brighter. The air smells different here. Not smoke, not rot. Something warm drifts in on the breeze. Fat sizzling, onions, a smell so impossible it makes several boys dizzy. They are ordered down, but the order is strange. No shouting, no threats, just a hand motion and a word they half understand. They step onto firm ground, gravel, neatly packed. Beyond them are tents arranged in careful rows. No rubble, no fire scars. An American flag hangs limp in the still air. A soldier approaches. He is chewing. In his hand is a wrapped bundle of paper, darkened with grease. He looks at the boys, really looks, and then says something to another soldier. They laugh softly, not cruelly. The first bundle is held out. Carl does not move. He cannot. Because executions do not smell like food. They are seated at long wooden tables, close enough that knees touch. No chains. No guards pressing rifle barrels into their backs. Just benches worn smooth by use, by bodies that sit and rise and sit again without fear. The food arrives in metal trays. Bread first, thick slices, white, soft enough that fingers sink into it without effort. A boy breaks his piece in half and stares at the inside, at the impossible purity of it. No sawdust, no gray streaks, no bitter smell. His throat tightens. Then the meat. Hamburgers, the soldiers call them. The word means nothing. The smell means everything. Fat and salt and heat. When Carl bites down, grease runs over his fingers. The taste is overwhelming, rich, heavy, almost painful. His jaw aches from chewing. He has forgotten how. Around him, boys eat too fast, then slow themselves, terrified the food will vanish if they rush. One begins to cry silently, tears falling into his hands. Another hides half his bread in his pocket, instinct stronger than reason. No one stops them. An American soldier watches, not smiling, not frowning, just watching. He pushes a second piece of bread toward a boy who is already finished. At home, Carl thinks, people are boiling grass. Here there is more. That night, Carl cannot sleep. The barracks are quiet except for breathing and the soft rustle of blankets. Real blankets, heavy, clean. They smell faintly of soap and something else, cotton, maybe, or safety. The ceiling above him is whole, no holes, no stars staring down like witnesses. He stares into the dark and feels the food sitting warm in his stomach, solid and undeniable. It frightens him more than hunger ever did. In his pocket is a scrap of paper and a pencil given without question. He writes slowly, the way his teacher once insisted. Dear Moody, I am alive. The words blur. He presses his knuckles into his eyes until sparks bloom. Propaganda had prepared him for beatings, for cages, for mockery. It had not prepared him for this. For a guard who nodded instead of shouting. For a medic who cleaned a boy's blistered feet without comment. For the way his own shame burns hotter than fear. If the enemy is cruel, hating them is easy. If the enemy feeds you, what then? A boy on the next bunk whispers into the darkness, voice shaking. Maybe this is a trick. Carl does not answer. He cannot. Because part of him is already afraid of the truth forming quietly inside his chest. That the war lied. The announcement comes in the morning. The boys are assembled again, but this time there is no line drawn by terror. They stand loosely, shifting their weight, blinking in the pale sunlight. An officer speaks through a translator. The words arrive slowly, carefully placed as if they might break. They will not be punished. They will not be shot. They will be returned when arrangements are made. Returned. The word lands heavily. Some boys sag with relief. Others feel something close to grief. Carl feels both, tangled together. He thinks of home, of walls burned black, of empty cupboards, of a mother who has learned how to make soup from nothing at all. An American soldier hands him something as they disperse. A hamburger wrapped tight. For later, the soldier says, tapping his pocket. Carl nods. He cannot speak. He sits alone and unwraps it just enough to smell. He does not eat it. Not yet. He wants to remember this moment exactly as it is. The warmth in his hands. The impossible kindness. The quiet realization settling into his bones. That monsters do not always look like monsters. That enemies can choose not to be cruel. That truth is more dangerous than any weapon he was ever given. Years later, this is what will return to him in dreams. Not the guns, not the shouting, but the taste of bread and the mercy he was never supposed to survive.